Hello and welcome to the show. My name's Kevin LaFrancis and I'm here to talk about China. We introduce an economist and a great man in the field. He is an expert on China's growth and development. Please welcome Peter Trombley, Dr. Peter Trombley. Welcome to the show. Thank you for coming.
Thank you very much.
All right, so in general, why is China where they are right now?
Well, first of all, I'd like to thank you for having me on the show. I'm a big fan. But China's been progressing as a nation for a long time now. They first became integrated into international politics during the Nixon administration at the U.S. encouragement, and they've been building their power ever since. And they're now one of the foremost nations in the world in terms of power.
All right, let's start with the economy. How did China's economy get to where they are?
Well, really, they've been a great producer for the world, and they've really industrialized themselves well. And
Nice.
The shirts on our backs right now, made in China. Much of America's goods come from China and most of the world. So certainly that strength in production has helped their economic boom.
Right. As I've read in your books, you're a huge believer in education as a key to a rise in power. And talk about China's educational success.
Well, yeah, they've been quite remarkable lately. On the program of international student assessment tests recently, they scored first in all categories: math, reading, and science. And this far outpaces, the United States, who was ranked 23rd or 24th in most of these. And students in China, they're very focused on their work. They're not distracted by a lot of outside sources, and their teaching quality is also pretty high. The teaching profession is pretty desirable in China. They've compensated very well for their work.
Nice. So I know the Americans, they got to where they are because of their educational success. So how currently can America, compete with China?
Well, I think you're certainly right there that innovation was a big part of America's growth as an economy, and frankly, no, we're not spending the amount we need to on education. We're not devoting the necessary assets. You see schools having to cut down teachers. It's not good for our students. And part of the problem also lies with the students, who are distracted by a number of new things, Facebook, Twitter,
Right.
useless things that are distracting our students from learning and from advancing. And things like China uses a system where they have shorter summers and longer school days, and that certainly aids their development.
Right.
Maybe something the United States will look into. But certainly people are starting to recognize, like President Obama, who says we're in danger of falling behind China in terms of education.
Yeah, I've heard that they've been deliberating whether to add hours into the school day and to shorten the summers as well. Let's talk about America and their foreign policy. How is China's rise in power going to affect America in their foreign policy decisions in the future?
Well, I think it's certainly something you have to take into account. China's a great power, and certainly anything the United States would like to pursue in Asia, they're going to have either China's knowledge of it or their consent, since they really have a lot of influence in the world right now. And specifically with us, they hold about $7.2 trillion of our debt, and that certainly affects the way we operate as a nation.
So we talk about how America needs to pour in the money into the education to improve, to be up to par with China. And we also talk about how they're in debt, $1.7 trillion. So how should America refocus their economic goals?
Well, I think America has to get back to being a country of producers and not of consumers. America needs its domestic production to improve. So therefore, when we're paying for goods and we're putting money into an economy, we're putting it into our own economy, and we're not taking it overseas. I think part of that, it's going to be very important to grow American production and stop consuming so much foreign goods.
Yeah. Let's talk about China and their politics. And they're one of the few communist nations left. How has China's politics contributed to their growth?
Well, they've been remarkably stable over the past 25 years or so, and that's certainly helped their economy boom since, having a stable government allows people to invest there, and it certainly makes it safe to put money into that since you generally trust what you're going to get back. So China's certainly benefited from having a stable political situation.
So my last question to you, Dr. Peter Trombley, is how is America going to compete with China?
Well, I think the first thing you have to do is you have to have people stop ignoring China. And I think that's a big problem is people need to really wake up and recognize that China is certainly gaining on the United States.
Ignorance.
If they're not already surpassing us in many areas. So I think if people are going to maintain America, if we're going to maintain America's position as, the world leader in so many fields, we certainly need to recognize and deal with the threat that China presents.
Definitely. Thank you for being on my show.
Thank you.
It was great to have you. And for the audience out there, please get this novel. It is Dr. Peter Trombley's first novel called The Far East Movement, and it's about China's rise to power and how America needs to wake up and see this and deal with it. Thank you for viewing. We'll see you later.